Have you ever played those games where two stoic heroes team up? Well, Dros is a different take on this buddy game genre. Our two main characters, Captain and Little Dros, don't exactly like each other, but without each other they wouldn't survive. It's a quid pro quo situation. You help me and I'll help you. Hey, we are Emerge Worlds, an indie game studio developing a 3D action-adventure game called Dros. We started working on Dros 3 years ago, and we wanted to share our journey, the process of the game, and lessons we've learned along the way. In our game, you will play as a pair that are stuck together, solve mind-bending puzzles, fight enemies, explore and find collectibles, and so much more. Like all games, Dros' journey started with an idea. The idea was to establish a quid pro quo deal between a little bounty hunter and a strange, slimy little creature. Each needed the other to survive, and so it set up a kind of absurd and awkward premise of both the story and game mechanics grew. The concept afforded a back and forth kind of approach to exploring stages and solving puzzles. One character did something well, the other one did not, and vice versa. With the idea established, it was time to flesh out the world and build the story behind Dros. We were always fans of the quirky and sometimes dark worlds of games and films of the 80s and 90s. We thought there was an opportunity to develop a concept like this into a game that could give other people similar fond memories. Some inspirations behind Dros include the Monkey Island series, the Zelda games, and films such as Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. With the premise established, it would become an exercise in building and fleshing out the world of Dros in order to make it the best game that we could. We've been developing Dros for 3 years now, and it's been an amazing journey. The first year focused on pre-production, early brainstorming, and concept art. Like many projects, Dros started with humble beginning. This is one of the first sketches we created for Dros, which was done on a plane from Brisbane to Perth in Australia. We used the first year to solidify the core concept, create and refine the main characters and their mechanics. We came up with 2 characters, Captain and Little Dros, and these are the early concepts of them in the beginning. A dubious team, one a bounty hunter clad in metal, the other one a slimy ball of goo. We came up with the idea that the player would use the power of Dros to separate or rejoin with the captain. You would essentially leverage each character's abilities to explore environments and defeat enemies. Oh, did I also mention they were stuck together? No, like, literally. Little Dros is the puzzle solver. She is small and agile. Her playstyle is more stealth as she guides the captain through each stage. The captain follows a more action character approach as he uses his sword and shield to fight enemies and clear a safe path for the pair. Although a story-driven game, we wanted to stay true to the humour and quirky elements of games and films of the 1980s. We wanted to incorporate this humour through character interactions. We also cemented a majority of the story within the first year. The idea of creating a story-rich game was always appealing. We decided to go with a comic-style approach to tell the story of Dros. We decided the whole game would take place in a huge alchemy tower created by a dark alchemist. The alchemist, which is the game's primary antagonist, plays a special alchemy flute that allows him to control others. After being freed from the alchemist captive, the journey for Dros begins. Meanwhile, the captain who has come for the alchemist is defeated, losing his arm in the process. Eventually, the 2 characters would meet. Little Dros finds Captain's body, and their encounter was, let's say, a little intrusive, but they both mutually needed each other to survive. Dros needs Captain as a shield to hide, and the Captain needs Dros who keeps him alive and moving, and so they literally became stuck together. We were looking for music that would suit our visuals, something a little different from what you would hear in traditional adventure games. We had been listening to an electric ambient artist called Aravane and really liked his music. It suited the mood with the luscious textures and broken beats. We decided to get in contact. Aravane lives in Germany, and after a catch-up video about the concepts of Dros, he was keen to join the team as our composer. There was a lot of back and forth sending updates of prototypes, concept art, and videos of gameplay. The music Aravane had composed is ambient and creates a mood that suits the fantasy world we're creating. The second year was when we really started to design stages and get the overall game loop pinned down. The world of Dros takes place in a massive alchemy machine. There's 6 levels, and each level is broken up into smaller stages. We are planning over 40 unique stages that exist within the machine. These 6 levels are the prologue, the catchment, the furnace, filtration, the distillery, and the top of the machine. Our goal is to make each stage feel like its own little world and experience, like its own memory in our players' minds. Our stages are like mini puzzles of their own and are diorama-like in their design. The idea of entering and exiting the stage via an alchemical gate created a simple but workable stage game loop. Early on in the second year, however, the eventual importance of the collectibles in our stages hadn't been addressed. These collectibles included gems, modder rats also known as biomechanical artifacts, and hidden diary entries. It was also this year when we started narrowing down on adding enemies into Dros, and so we began concepting and implementing potential enemies into the game. Just like little Dros, most of the enemies are also considered Dros. They live and work in the machine under the control of the alchemist. Some examples include Captain Dros, Bull Dros, Polyp Dros, Brute Dros Snap, and many more. Also, fun fact, when you attack one of the Dros, they split into little Drosses that jump into vents to escape. In addition, we also began working on 3D chibi models for our main NPC characters so we could see them and how they interact with each other in stages. At the beginning of the third year, there were two main areas which we really kicked into gear. One was updating Captain's animation scale and overall feel. This was really worthwhile as the difference between the older and the newer update was very noticeable. We wanted to make the game look more lighthearted and fun, so we made Captain slightly cuter, more chibi, quicker, and his slashes and reactions were made punchier and more stylized. We also began a concerted process of breaking down each of the chapters into numerous stages of gameplay. We were aiming for 40 overall, so this had become a several month-long process of everyone making lots and lots of stages. By the middle of the year, we had a pool of potential grey box stages to draw upon for the final game. The latter half of this year would be a big production push to basically finish the stage production component of the game by Christmas. This entailed getting all stages to a demo readiness level of quality so that we would essentially have the backbone of the game by the time the team is back for Christmas. Here are some of our favourite stages so far. There are so many more stages that have been developed and we can't wait for you guys to play it. We also packed with so many events as well. We entered Steam Next Fest in October, and we also attended at PAX Oz in Australia. We got to see so many people playing our game and drawing the characters in person. As a developer, that's really a dream come true. And now as we approach our 4th year of Dros' development, we have one clear goal: to release the game for everyone to play. And honestly, there are so many steps which we haven't covered in this video purely because fitting 3 years of game development in 10 minutes is literally impossible. But we will definitely keep updating on the game, so feel free to follow us on TikTok and Twitter and check out our Discord channel where we'll be updating the most. The video is coming to an end, but our journey is only just getting started. Stay tuned for Dros, which is coming out this year. Thanks everyone.